Welcome to the Dr. Wyatt Show podcast, where developing a long-lasting, happy relationship is the status symbol to achieve, and following my 6 marriage steps is a path to help get you there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt Fisher, a licensed psychologist specializing in marriage counseling. Remember, you can contact me on the Dr. Wyatt Show podcast at any time by calling 720-307-7347. Leave a voicemail with your marriage question, then I'll respond back to your voicemail on the next Dr. Wyatt Show podcast. The discount of the week is you can get 20% off my Total Marriage Refresh conference. If you haven't already been, you need to attend. It's a great conference. It's a Saturday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I've been doing the conference for around 8 years, and it's slowly spread to multiple different cities. In the conference, you're going to learn the top 6 steps to marriage satisfaction. You have to learn those things. You have to get training, just like you do for your job. It's a fun day filled with lots of stories. There's a lot of breaks, a lot of discussion time, a lot of tools. There's no group sharing. It's just time for you and your partner to learn how to reconnect and how to do marriage right. So if you're interested, go to my website, drwyattfisher.com, click on retreats, find the city closest to you, click there, and then when you're checking out, enter in the discount code REFRESH for 20% off. Okay, today we're going to talk about 4 ways to boost your marriage, and this is part 1 of a 2-part series. So we're just going to cover the first 2 ways to boost your marriage. You need to always be thinking about how to boost your marriage because your marriage needs boosted. Your marriage is alive. It needs tended to. If you have a plant that doesn't have the right soil, doesn't get sunlight, doesn't get watered, that plant is going to die. If your marriage doesn't get proper watered, it doesn't have the proper sunlight, doesn't have the proper soil, your marriage is going to die. So we all have to be thinking about how can we boost our marriage? And sometimes I hear people say to me, that sounds like a lot of work. And do you know what I say back to that? Get over it. Marriage is work, but so is everything in life. If you want to learn how to be good at golf, guess what? It's a lot of work at first. You have to learn how to do it right. And then it's not so bad. Then it becomes a part of who you are. If you want to learn how to get good at martial arts, guess what? It's a lot of work. You have to learn all the techniques. It takes a lot of training. And eventually it becomes a part of who you are. Marriage is the same thing. It does take a lot of work in the beginning when you're learning how to do things right. If you don't want to work at your marriage, you shouldn't be married because it requires a lot of work to learn how to do it well. But after you learn the strategies and the tools, it gets easier, just like everything else does. So we're going to cover 2 ways to boost your marriage. The first way is we're going to think about what to do on Mondays. Research has shown that most of us are not good at multitasking. It's much better to chunk and focus on one thing at a time and give it all of your attention, all of your mindset, all of your energy, and then reach a goal with whatever it is you're focusing on and then switch to the next task. Most of us don't do that, and we're scattered, and we're constantly dabbling here, and then we're dabbling over there, and then we're working on this project, and then we're not done with that, and we go start checking this email, and we get fractured, and we don't do as well. Most people do not do well multitasking. Same thing in marriage. If we're trying to think about too many things at once in our marriage, we're not going to do any of it very well. So the episodes this week is all about how to do this better, how to chunk it. So for Mondays, I want you to think of the term mischievous. Monday is mischievous day in your marriage. And mischievous can stand for all sorts of things. But when I think of mischievous, I think of playful, fun, interactive, laughter. Mondays are your day to become mischievous in your marriage. What can you do in your marriage throughout the day, Monday, that would be fun? Maybe you can text your partner some jokes that you heard that are clean, that you thought was funny, and that they think would be funny. Maybe you can play some fun games together throughout the day. Maybe you can go do something fun outdoors together. Think about some fun things you can do together on Mondays. Make your interactions fun. Be playful with each other. Snap each other with a towel. Just don't break the skin. Have a food fight. Whatever it is, live it up. Live it up. Mondays are your day for being mischievous. When I think back to when my wife and I were dating, we were constantly mischievous. We were constantly having fun. I remember one time when we were students at CU Boulder, we went over to Folsom Field and someone had left the gate open and we snuck into the football field and no one was there. And so we proceeded to wrestle in the middle of the 100-yard line. We were in the middle of the whole field and we were wrestling and we were rolling around in the field. It was so much fun. Other times I remember putting her on my bike handles and I would ride her all over town. And one time we rode on my bicycle with her on my handles all the way down from campus to Pearl Street. And then we found some outdoor concert that was happening. It was some type of contra dancing or country dancing, and we danced for like 3 hours. And we were both sweating, and we had so much fun. We were being mischievous. And when we're together for a while, we stop. We stop having fun. What would be fun for you? Think about what you and your partner did when you were first dating. What was fun back then? What did you guys do for fun? Maybe you went rock climbing. Maybe you loved playing Monopoly. Who knows? Think about what was fun for you back then and bring that back and chunk it. Focus on Monday is mischievous days. Those are your days to think about how can we really have fun together. And it can be little things, it can be moderate things, it can be elaborate things. But intentionally wake up Monday mornings with the mindset of, oh, today is mischievous day. How can I be mischievous? How can I be playful with my partner all day long? That's Monday. Number 2 is Tuesdays. So now we're going to chunk Tuesdays. Tuesdays, what I want you to think about is touch. Not erotic touch. That's a different day. That's coming later. That's in part 2. Tuesdays are touch days. And when I say touch, I'm referring to non-sexual touching. Think back to when you were dating with this. Think about how affectionate you probably were. You probably hugged all the time. You probably gave each other back rubs all the time. You probably stroked each other's hair all the time. You probably held hands all the time. You probably gave foot rubs all the time. You probably had lots and lots of touch. Think back to when you hadn't touched your partner yet and you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait to finally touch them because you were so attracted to them and you were so pulled toward them and you're starting to have this chemistry and finally your body's touched non-sexually for the first time. Remember the electricity, the lightning bolts that shot through your system. I can remember this. When my wife and I first met, I was a sophomore, she was a freshman at CU Boulder, and I remember as a group, our whole floor, we lived on the same floor in the dorms, we all went swimming. And we played inner tube water polo, of all things. And so I think we were on a league of some kind. And I remember she was on the league and I was on the league, and I remember liking her already, and I think she liked me, and we were talking, but we hadn't made any contact. But there was chemistry there, and we were starting to have a crush on each other. And so finally we got in these inner tubes to play inner tube water polo. And I remember being near her and wanting to touch her non-sexually in some way. And so right around that moment, the ball got thrown over to her and we were on opposing teams. And I remember going over to her to grab the ball out of her hands, and we're in inner tubes and our feet started touching under the water. And I remember that because that was our first contact. Our feet were rubbing on each other under the water as we were wrestling to get that ball from each other. And it felt like lightning bolts shooting through my system because there was so much buildup and anticipation for that touch. But through the years, we forget to touch. We forget how important it is to touch. Oxytocin is released in our brain every time we touch someone. That's the bonding chemical. It's called the love drug. Oxytocin. So every time you touch your partner, oxytocin is being released. Skin on skin contact. That's why when a mother gives birth, They put the baby right on the mother's chest, so immediately that bonding can start occurring. Same thing in our marriage. We need to be touching on a regular basis. Remember back to when you touched your partner all the time and bring that back. Tuesdays, moving forward, chunk your Tuesdays and think of Tuesdays as Tuesdays are touch days, non-sexual. Tuesdays are touch days. Think about all the ways you can touch your partner. Ask them, how do you want me to touch you? What kind of affection do you like? Where do you want to be touched? How do you want to be touched? You have to learn, because not everyone is created equal with how they like to be touched. Some people are really picky with how they want to be touched. Some people could care less. Just touch me. So affection is something that's greatly lacking in a lot of relationships. So we have to bring it back. So focus on Tuesdays being your touch day and do whatever it is. Think about how to touch your partner, then be creative. Get their feedback and then start doing it. You have a lot of opportunity throughout the day to touch your partner. Think about from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to work, and then after work until the moment you go to bed. That's a lot of opportunity to be touching your partner. And touching can be as gentle as tapping them on the shoulder to as elaborate as giving them a big bear hug and everything in between. So there's a lot of variety, a lot of different ways to touch, but you need to be making physical contact throughout the day that's going to help you feel bonded and closer. So the call to action, as a reminder, is to get 20% off the Total Marriage Refresh Conference. If you want to attend, it's a great way to celebrate Valentine's Day coming up. Go to my website, click on retreats, and then use the discount code REFRESH. The discount code expires January 30th, this coming Sunday. So if you want to access that discount code, 20% off, be sure to purchase your registration for the conference by this Sunday, January 30th. Thank you for listening to the Dr. Wyatt Show podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to click the 5 stars, leave a review, and subscribe. Also, the best way to pay it forward, if you enjoyed these episodes, is to tell one person about the podcast. If you would, please tell someone today. Send them a text right now, if you could. Tell them about the Dr. Wyatt Show podcast, the impact it's had on you, and encourage them to listen. Because the more people that can hear this podcast, the more hope can be spread, that marriages can be resurrected, they can be renewed, they can be restored, and you can fall back in love with your partner and you can develop a successful relationship. Remember, your marriage is alive. If you care for it and nurture it, it will grow. But if you deprive it and neglect it, it will wilt and die. The choice is up to you. Take care.